that from the outside world, people are like, wow, I'd love to be that. And she's just become a billionaire, right? So that's two people in her family, her and her sister, that are billionaires for a start. Think about that. But then she gets to this point going, it's just the little things that I want. Oh, none of this means anything. I want that partner I can go to the gym with, hold hands with, talk with.
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 310. That's 310. Hope you're awesome, and I hope life is treating you really, really good. Always mean it, and that's why I always say it. Do you know what? I got a special one today. I mean it, it's special, especially if you're already kicking ass, or you want to look into the world of people that are really, really performing. And what I mean by that is me and my new business partner, have created a brand new brand. And we did our first live yesterday on Facebook. I'm going to be putting it on LinkedIn. You can't put things on Instagram, which sucks, but it's, it is what it is. But it's all over my Facebook page, Mindset by Design Facebook page. It's all over my personal profile, and it is all inside the Andy Murphy Mindset Facebook group. You should be in there if you're not. We're that early into this business, and I just wanted to share with you this straight away, is we're not even confirmed the name yet. Confirming that today, right? Confirming that today. But right now, it's called Now What? Like the name? Well, you might not like the name, you might love the name, but you're going to understand it in a few moments. Remember, I've been doing this game working with high performers, entrepreneurs, the best in the world, salespeople, everyone you can imagine for a long time. Nearly 2 decades. Yes, I'm officially getting old. I've been doing this game since I was 24, so that's 19 years, right? Being the top performer myself in 2 different countries in investment real estate, and then growing after bankruptcy, nervous breakdowns, putting together a $100 million resort in Fiji, I then become one of the top in the world for what I do, right? With mental performance, working with CEOs, performers, and awesome people. But you know what? There's always been an issue. There's always been an issue I find with really top performers. And you might be listening to this and you're one of them, or you're aspiring to be at that level. And let me explain the problem. How you get somewhere to a level of success is not how you will get to the next level of success. That sounds a bit strange. Let me explain. Everything moves in levels, right? Life moves in levels. We move in cycles of our life. Friendships come, friendships go. People scale businesses from 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures plus. There's so many things that happen in levels. And then we can go down the woo-woo, which is not really the woo-woo, into frequency, and that goes in levels. We can talk about different parts of our brain. That goes in levels. Everything comes in levels, right? So what we've discovered over the past 19 years of me doing this, and my business partner, Dean Trinklein, is he's a beast, a beast in so many different ways. You're going to get to know Dean today. And if you want to go and watch the video, then come over and head over to Facebook or bounce over to LinkedIn. But guess what, right? There is an underlying issue. And what's wild right now is you're going to hear some clips of me talking about some different people. And it's what's being really uncovered is the ultra rich or the ultra successful. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate, tech, you're celebrities, athletes, football players, traders. It doesn't matter. What I've found over the years of doing this is once you hit a certain level, it's the same issues come up. And I've seen this even in network marketing, even in sales companies, and even people who have exited companies, right? Because what happens is we have an identity, we have a certain driver inside of us, we have a certain mission, and then we go and accomplish it, right? So let me explain this real quick because I go into this more detail. But Shawn Johnson, a US gold medalist, a gymnast, she has been training since she was 3 years old to win that gold medal. And what she said in an interview is the moment she put that gold, or got that gold medal, I should say, put round her neck, she was still full of anxiety and she was completely lost. Because once she'd hit that goal or that level of success, what's next? Now what? Right? Now what? And that's the same with everything in life. The mission that you're on now, and promise you, you can play so much bigger. And I don't mean bigger as in, okay, I'm going to get more money. Although you can get more money, right? A billionaire still gets more money, but then what, right? What's the impact? What are you doing? What's the mission? Because often we get lost in identity, or we lose our identity, right? We can get bored, we can feel empty, right? And the thing is about that, what you find is, and I'll go into Kim Kardashian, Jeffree Star, and even a guy I know called Matt Clark. And what you're going to find is when people hit a certain level, then they get lost. There's an emptiness. Because what's taught in society right now, and I'm not going to go on about this too much because we talk about it for 40 minutes, but society is basically created a identity for you of what success looks like. And that's an external motivator, an external driver. And the challenge always becomes, if you're doing something for somebody else, which is what's being programmed in your brain, right? If you're doing something for somebody else, then the challenge always becomes the same. You get to that point where the driver, the motivation, the dopamine hits, right? Just wear out. And what happens is people get depressed. And so you hear these stories about people and ultra rich and all the rest of it and just self-sabotaging. But it's not just for the ultra rich. You could be massively successful right now. You could be listening to this and hitting mid 6 figures and pushing to 7 if that's what you want to do. But what you might be finding is even if you hit 7 figures, the point is, what you're going to find is that maybe that motivation, that drive changes. Why? Because certain human needs inside of our brain are fulfilled, and that's a comfort, that's certainty, right? And when we're in this comfort zone, the ego or the fear or the lack of internal validation isn't there, so we don't have the same drive. So what I've found over the years with thousands of people is they come to me and they're looking for the same motivators, the same aggression, the same intensity, the same hustle as what got them there. But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. We evolve, we grow, we change, right? And you're allowed to. Do you think the same as when you were 24? No, of course you don't, right? And you shouldn't. If you're still doing them, we definitely need to have a chat because there's something going wrong. But the truth is, being 24, you want certain things. You have certain insecurities. You have a certain pattern and traumas and everything that motivate you in a certain perspective on life. But as we get older, things change. So we don't want what we thought we probably did at the start, right? And once we get that certain level of comfort, then this thought keeps looping around your head, and maybe it's looping around yours right now. Now what? Now what? What next? Right? Is this it? Am I just going to go as a CEO and walk into that corporation or that business every single day? And then what? You bored? Yeah, I bet you're bored, right? There's no challenge anymore. And if the challenge is it's someone else's challenge that you're trying to solve a problem towards. And this becomes an issue, right? It becomes an issue with every area of life. But when we start to understand this, as I say, it doesn't matter what level you're playing at, right? This is all about being happy. Well, what's the point? You think this life is real? It's not real, right? What you're thinking about the past isn't real. What you're thinking about the future isn't real until we're experiencing it. Do you understand that? When we're in this moment right now, you listen to the things that you're listening to as my voice is going into your ears. Understand you're right now in the moment. Now in the moment. Now in the moment. And every moment that I've said the moment is now the past. Does that make sense? So we change, we evolve, we grow, and you're allowed to, right? And I say loads of cool things in this, and I do rant on at the start, and Dean catches up. Don't worry, Dean can hold his own. But the truth is, if these questions are looping around your head and you're maybe bored, right? Bored, feeling empty, curious to see what next, open, you're researching people's lives. And you might not even realize you're doing it. You know what I mean? Autobiographies. Well, that's other people's lives. Or you're finding you've hit a level of success and you're just not happy. Or you get the idea. And it doesn't matter, again, if you're an NFL star, a pro athlete, a trader, a celebrity, you're in real estate, tech. It doesn't matter. The same issues, or whatever else it is, the same issues happen. And imagine if you'd been born into a trust fund. Then you don't have that desire the same way, more than likely, right? So you definitely asking the question, what's next? Now what? Now what? Now what? Do you understand? So if this resonates with you, you best hit those show notes up and you best get in our group. We just started it last night. And I type in, now what? And the group will come up. Or go to Andy Murphy Mindset and find the group, and the links are in there. But the truth is, life is not what you think about. Think about it. It's not. What life is about is your own internal competition. There should be no external competition, because the truth is we're all on a different mission, a different purpose. And the higher level you get in thinking, the more impact you can have in the world. And what do you want? Do you want a Lamborghini and a Ferrari and a big ass house that you're paying a fortune for? Or do you want to get to the end of your life and look back on it and know that you've given it all that you have got? And you aligned with what you're supposed to do, and you were happy, you were content, and you saw thousands, if not millions of people's faces smile because of what you created. Does that feel better? Of course it feels better, right? So there's always stages in life. There's always a next level of business, income, and happiness. There's always a next level of what you can do in your life. And that's what we're opening up the conversation for today. Sound good? Beautiful. I don't know if you can hear it, Mindset by Design crew, but there's a helicopter flying around. This is Latin American for you. I'm in the city and we're 16 floors up, but there's a helicopter literally flying around. Quite crazy. He did it yesterday too. But that's bizarre. And speaking of bizarre, life is bizarre, right? Life is bizarre. And you are allowed to do whatever you want. This is the point in this, everything. It doesn't matter what success you've had before. It doesn't matter what you thought your identity was, or or what you've told people, or what people perceive you as. None of that is relevant. It's all irrelevant, right? Why is it irrelevant? For one reason. It doesn't matter. It's your life, right? And at the end of the day, it's about your contentness. It's about you giving and giving. And there's so many people in the world that have just give up their careers, and they were very high paying careers, just to go and do charity work or go and travel or do all these things. I've been talking to a couple of people over here who are actually American and British, different people, and they're massively successful. They work with some big names, earning fantastic money, all the rest of it. But they've just chosen the life of travel. They've just chosen the life of movement. They've just chosen the life that they choose. And it doesn't matter who tries to pull them down or put them into a box. No, you can do whatever you want, right? And if you want to go and earn $1 billion, then go and earn it, right? But the truth is, what for? Because you're going to have consequences and sacrifices to that, no matter what, right? So I want you to be so in alignment, so passionate, so connected to what the next stage in your life is, that anything you're going through right now, the stress, the strain, the pressure, all becomes absolutely irrelevant, because the mission is so important to you. Does that make sense? I hope so, because that's where we create burning desire. That's where we create action. That's where we create momentum. That's where we step up and do something different. Make sense? Good. And speaking of doing something different, I want you to head to those show notes, right? I take on one high-end client a month right now. And And if this resonates with you, then you need to have a chat with me, right? And we've also, with Dean, we're starting this this business. It's getting launched, and it's going to be amazing. We're so pumped about it. So you can talk to working with me and Dean also, right? Because that's what we're doing. But either way, if this resonates with you and you're playing at that level, definitely bounce over to the to the Now What group on Facebook. We're going to bring an app out. We're going to see how this all goes, right? But at the end of the day, our mission is to serve a big purpose, to help all those people in the world that have massive impact and just don't know how to create it. And if that's you, hit those show notes up, type that in, or head over to Andy Murphy Mindset, pretty easy to find, and that's my group with over 3,000 people all hustling and learning in there. But either way, make sure that you share this episode, you come and hang out, and if you really want to accelerate your mental performance in your business because your business is exploding, then guess who you're going to have a chat to? Me. And you could be lucky enough to work with me personally, and I'd love nothing more. So, should we get on with this? Yeah, hit those show notes up for all the goodies, and I will see you at the end of the show, and I will see you very, very soon personally. Enjoy. Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Yeah.
Boom. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? We got two very different faces here, but two awesome people. Well, you be the judge of that. What's going on, Dean? It's good to see you. It's been a while, mate. Maybe 3 hours?
Yeah, I know, right? I'm pretty sure I have another gray in my beard somewhere between the time we said bye 3 hours ago and now.
It's possible, mate, but that's a fierce beard nonetheless, mate. Nonetheless, I love it. So why is everyone tuning in, Dean? Why are people here, my friend?
Well, brother, quite simply, and that's how I like to do things, is as simple as possible. But quite simply, man, it's because there is a pandemic out there, but it's not really the pandemic that we've been hearing about on the news and all across your social media, right, and all this and all that. No. It's there's this emptiness, man. This void. You know what I mean? This gray cloud of unhappiness, unease, anxiety, depression that's just plaguing us.
It's true, yeah. And you know what I love about that, mate? It's like everyone on the, especially internet marketing world, right? We'll use that with air quotes, right? Well, we won't go down that path today, right? Because we're kind of in the industry. But the truth is, everybody looks at like mindset and mental performance and the inner work, or whatever you want to call it, meditating, spirituality, neuroscience, wherever you want to take it, right? Everyone talks about that, thinking that it's something that you do until you get there, right? Yeah, I know with you and me, and I know my personal circumstances, the people that come to me, yes, there's everyday people, but most of my clients have been people who have already made it. Do you know what I mean? And like you've already made it. So the truth is what we got to understand is that this game that we're playing, the inner game, right? It's really about, once you've hit a level, what next, right? And that brings us beautifully into our title of this. What's next? And I'd like to jump on so maybe people are out there going, well, what are you talking about? Let me give you 4 examples, right? 4 quick examples, and then me and Dean will rant on like we usually do for about 20 hours, right? So I'm going to give you the first one, and it's a strange one. But if we look at the world of celebrities, we look at the world of high-level multimillionaires, we look at the world of gold medalists, we look at the world of influencers these days, right? I think there's been a massive shift. And what I mean by that, I don't know about you, mate, but I was doing crazy things young, and I had my second 5 Series BMW, if that means anything. I was like 26 years old, big ego, driving around thinking I was cool, top performer in 2 different countries, loads of money, put a big project together in Fiji. Bing. But you know what? I was only working 2 days a week, and every day I was working, I dreaded. I was full of anxiety. I hated it. But I do it for the money. But like we say, they're left empty. And it was interesting. I saw this, my girl actually told me about this, and then we started doing research. There was Kim Kardashian. Let's start there, right? Let's get that word out into the algorithm. Yeah. Kim Kardashian. Obviously, she's getting divorced now from Mr. Kanye West, which, by the way, if you've not listened to Kanye and Rogan, go listen to it. I love that guy so much. But anyway, she was basically stating the facts that she has created more in her life that she could even fathom, imagine, or thought was possible. She has so many things around her that from the outside world, people are like, wow, I'd love to be that. And she's just become a billionaire, right? So that's 2 people in her family, her and her sister, that are billionaires for a start. Think about that. But then she gets to this point going, it's just the little things that I want. And none of this means anything. I want that partner I can go to the gym with, hold hands with, talk with. But no, Kanye's off on the other side of the country hustling and closing deals, right? Yeah. And then we move to somebody, and I'll let you talk in a minute, mate. But then there's this other guy, and you might have not know this dude, and I've seen him glimpses of him over the years, but he's worth a couple of $100 million, and his name's Jeffree Star. And he brought out a cosmetic line, all the rest of it. And listen to this, everybody, right? Me and Dean have already discussed this. But he bought a $25 million, 25 square foot house. I think it was about $60 million or something crazy, right? Just him and his boyfriend, I think. I don't know, right? And his dog. But he's got to this point now that he said, well, what's now? Because he realizes that what am I walking around for, feeling lonely inside of this massive house? What's the point? My diet's been off point. I've not been looking after myself. And really, this was complete distraction, right? It was ego driven. But once you hit that point, what's next? What now, right? Shawn Johnson, the US gold medalist, right? A gymnast. He said very clearly, as they were putting that medal around her neck, she was like, what now? I've been working on this since I was 3 years old. I've won the gold medal. Is it like what you think? Never is. And what about a guy, actually, who's a business partner of an old client of mine, Matt Clark, and the client of mine was, go and look at amazing.com. You'll get the idea. But it was amazing because he wrote this beautiful article. And Matt, if you're listening or watching out there, appreciate this article, mate. It was a great sales letter, by the way. But he was talking about, he was really young. They did this huge, enormous launch in Amazon because they're Amazon selling machine. And then what happened was he went and bought his $3 million house. And then within 4 weeks, he said, well, I'm bored. This is costing me $20,000 a month to maintain. And now all he does is everything is to do with cash. If he doesn't have it, he doesn't buy it, right? But what I'm trying to say is when you hit this level of success or the level of success, then what? It becomes an empty thing, right? So that's my little rant, Dean. But what your opinions on all of that, brother?
Oh, well, so many, because every little bit of that is true. I'm sure, especially with the demographic in the audience that we're speaking to, they can attest to it. Because if they haven't thought about it already, this is going to wake them up to that notion. Like, son of a biscuit, like there is something more, and I've fallen victim to it as well, just like you. We have to keep up with the Joneses. We buy all this crap to impress people we don't know that probably don't even like us anyway, right? And or even if it's not that, if it just becomes about accumulation, then we just have a lot of something. And it's always this notion of if if this, then that. Like, if I could only get the Lambo, then I'll be happy. Or if I only have, 15 mil in the bank, I will be happy. Or, this notion of, I saw it a lot with quarantine, people on lockdown for so long. And then they thought, well, as soon as, they let us out of this crap, I'm going to go on vacation. I'll finally get my freaking toes in the sand in Bali, and then I'll be happy.
Happy, right? Happy.
In big ass air quotes and all caps. And I was talking about this with my girl the other day. Ironically, we were sitting at the kitchen table and we were discussing this notion of happiness and what it really means. And I said, if you can't be happy as happy sitting at your own kitchen table as you are dipping your toes in the sand in Bali, then you're not intrinsically happy, right? It just becomes another thing down the road that you're going to consistently be chasing. So it's like this.
So true.
We've all been hungry before, like literally hungry, like that pit in our stomach. Well, you can feel this when this is your life. I just need to make that other million, that next million. I need to accumulate this next property. Then I'll be happy. Or a lot of it has to do with comfort. I'm not comfortable yet, but I know if I have this much money in the bank, I'll be comfortable.
Right.
But that is stressful as fuck because you're never going to actually get there. Because as soon as you do, it's going to be the next thing. It's like chasing this thing on the horizon, but the horizon doesn't really exist. It's ongoing. Right?
I love that. That's a nice analogy, right? We go around the earth, unless you're a flat earther. Then,
right.
Hey, but I'm not. So I love that. And I've seen that at the highest level too. I've seen that with billionaire clients. I've seen that with royalty. And the thing with the human being is that we have a default mechanism on our brain, right? And it is always to look for the danger. And the danger is designed because if we're walking down a road or a beach, where are you looking? Where are people looking as they walk down that beach or that street or that path? They're not looking at the horizon, they're looking at the floor. Why are they looking at the floor? Because the program in the brain is designed to make sure that the floor is safe for them to walk on, right? But that's only in step one. Step two is then what you come here for. We come to look up and around. But the default setting in the brain and where it's taught in society and everything else, it's such a shame because we're just so focused on step one. And that's why you, like yourself, you see so many people and we're talking to like mid-level 6 figures and we're talking people who are in 7, 8 and plus figures. That's really who we're talking to. If you're still building like 6 figures, awesome, badass. That's cool. Well done. Keep hustling, right? But what we're talking about is once you've done your 50 grand a month, your 100 grand a month, your 200 grand a month, your 400 grand a month. And then I've been told this in the past to give it, I've been told by clients and people, they go, Andy, I don't even know what to do with the money. I don't even know. It just keeps coming in each month and I just don't know what to do with it. Right. And so what that creates, it's great because maybe you created a company and you're thinking about heading towards retirement. But the reason you're not heading towards retirement is what? Well, you don't know what to do now, right? You've exited from a company or you've hit that level like we were talking about those 4 people before. And then guess what? You've actually woke up and gone, I'm bored. What's next? What are we going to keep doing this forever? What about if you've hit that goal, right? You've reached it and then you've gone, just like Sean Johnson, gold medal around the neck. Then they're like, well, now what, right? Maybe you hit a level of money that you always thought that was a dream level. And then you go, well, now what? And this is for real estate people, tech people, celebrities, athletes, traders. And you've got to understand that this is what happens to hit a certain level. It's a dopamine. We're constantly trying to search for dopamine. And Dean, you were the monster of all monsters searching for dopamine. Tell us about some of the wild things like you have done to get that dopamine.
Just about everything you can think of, I pushed my body to the absolute limits and I have the scars to show for it. I've spent money in the wildest ways. Just to constantly get that rush, that quick fix, that hit, because we think that's what's keeping us happy. You know what I mean? We get that. And here's the shitty thing about that, Andy, as well as you know, but maybe some of these listeners don't, is your dopamine receptor doesn't give a damn if it's a positive or negative thing in your life.
Exactly.
It doesn't distinguish the difference. So you might be going out of mood. It could be as simple as starting a fight with your lover, a family member, something like that out of nowhere, just so you get that.
Absolutely.
Or making the next million, or whatever it might be. But again, comes down to this notion of you start living in this vicious cycle, this revolution, and you're just constantly going round and round and round. Now, you might be bringing materialistic things in, this, that, and the other, which will give you that dopamine rush, but intrinsically, what is it doing? Nothing. You still have this void there in this pit. So when you start looking in terms of having a purpose, and what kind of purpose that is, because there really are only two. You have an internal purpose and you have an external purpose. Now, the problem is 95% of the population, they start going after this external purpose. And this is why there's no happiness ever to be had, because they're pushing the boundaries of what's possible externally, bringing in Lambos, money, condos, vacations, yachts, all this crap. And at the end of the day, they're like, fuck, man, I have everything that a man or woman could possibly need. Why am I miserable? And it's because they've bypassed the first purpose, the main one, the internal purpose. What is that internal purpose? And how can you go about achieving that while working on your external, while leveling up to where this notion of revolution, right, becomes your own internal evolution. And then you stop that whirlwind of cyclical bullshit.
Oh, man.
And you can define some clarity in your life and truly get happy, because what is better than going on a vacation and becoming happy at that vacation? Fucking taking your happiness with you on vacation.
That'd be nice, right?
You never get the Sunday scaries when it's time to come home. It's cool. You're just in a different place, but you're happy still.
Exactly. And that's the challenge becomes, again, we're looking at the external validation, right? Constant external validation, and society and media and everything. I rant on about this on the podcast and all the rest of it, and we'll do it 1,000 times together. But society's indoctrinated people to be another mechanism in the machine. Why? Because the external focus is then it creates the machine moving, right? So if they understand that, if they push pain and fear and scarcity, and then create an identity for you of what success looks like, then people run forwards to accomplish those ticks, because that creates an identity. But the identity is attachment. The identity isn't real. It's not fucking you, right? And so what happens is we hit these levels, right? And then we go, now what? You getting the idea? Right, now what? But then they end up not being happy. And this is what we were talking about before, brother. It's like not being happy, but then lost in their identity, and then lost in not having an identity, or being bored, or feeling empty. And you might be in that place right now. You're just like, well, what's next? I'm scaling this business, or I'm bored of this, or I need a new project, or I've retired, or I've hit this next level. I've got a boatload of cash, or I've got a boatload of time. And I'm sitting there just sabotaging myself, right? That's what people do. I spoke to a good mate of mine the other day. I said, well, you don't like this job? And he goes, no, I don't like this job. I don't like the guy. And I'm like, well, why don't you stop or change it? And he gives it, well, I can. I don't need to work. I've got investments pumping in. But if I do, I'm a nightmare. He's like, I just start sabotaging myself. I start, just partying or doing crazy stuff. So what happens is you might be in that place right now, listening to this going, well, all right. I get it. But the truth is, are you curious for what's next? Because if you're curious for what's next, that probably means that you're open to this video and other people. You're actually researching autobiographies, or you're looking what's happening, or maybe you're catching yourself starting to chase shiny objects, or sabotage, or you like all of this success. I spoke to someone a few weeks ago, actually, huge beast of an entrepreneur. Is here in Latin America. I never tell people quite what country, but Latin America. And his family do acquisitions, right? So he's got a lot of money and a lot of family, and they buy like buildings, basically, like apartment buildings and all the rest of it. And he explained the different genetic makeups, which we can talk about another time, right? Different genetic makeups. But he thought that this wave of motivation and depression that he was on, right, was basically normal. And he thought if we go down to the low, that means I just got to ride it out. So I get so much pressure, anxiety, and stress, and I have to perform. And then he goes up again, and then he's on a ride, and everything's great. And then down again, up again, down again, up again. And he thought this was normal. And when I explained to the different genetic makeup, when I explained to him the dopamine receptors and dopamine and how this creates sabotage patterns, then his mind was blown, right? Because he gives it, it's not about just hitting home runs, hits, Andy. It's about picking up all the balls on the way. That's what makes you win. It's not just looking for those golden eggs, right? So the truth is, imagine if you were so motivated in the next stage of your life that you were just pumped. It wasn't about money, wasn't about prestige, wasn't about accolades, wasn't about like being an influencer or being famous on the internet or YouTube. It's not about that. And if it is about that, there's nothing wrong with that. But the truth is, you're going to get to this place that we're talking about, this ceiling, right? And then you're going to ask the question, what now? That's the point, right? I mean, we can go on, and we can go on, me and Dean. But is there anything we want to jump on this? How long do we want to keep this? Is there any questions or comments? Let me take a look. Anything pops into your head, brother?
For me, I think it's this notion of, again, these external drivers not aligning with the internal driver. And mainly because we don't fully understand what our internal driver is, So it comes down to this hustle and grind sensation that we feel because there's no flow, because there isn't an alignment. But the beauty of it is, so you can be super successful. I've made a shit ton of freaking money doing things that I didn't care about, that weren't in alignment with discovering. But it was always a fucking chore. I couldn't stand it. It wasn't good. I wasn't happy. And again, I was just what we've been talking about, chasing this. And it was all based on ego. When I finally started waking up to this, you were talking about people like, man, maybe you're starting to do some research. You're starting to look at things. Look at what else has somebody in my shoes done this? This is when you're starting to wake up. And now this is a fantastic point, but you're at this fork in the road where you can go one of two ways. You can say, what now? And take a left and continue your revolution. Or you can say, what now? Take a right and start your evolution. And here's the beautiful part, guys. Andy and I are by no means saying that you can't have your fucking cake and eat it too, because what good is having cake if you can't eat it? What we're trying to say is life becomes a lot easier when you align with your internal purpose, with your external purpose, and then things start coming to you more naturally. You're vibrating, your
brain's filter system, the neurology, your nervous system, everything about all that. I love that, mate. And it sounds what the messed up thing is, and we're probably about to change the industry and making this very real. There's so much cheesy shit out there. And when people talk about mindset or personal development or purpose, it's been butcherized. It's been destroyed by marketers, right? Who were trying to look for internal hooks with people to see, guess what? Well, to see if they can sell them a product. So they go around pushing pains, marketing 101, found your niche, push the pains, understand your avatar. Well, all of that's great, but the truth is, to do what? To do what? To sell them something so you can make money? Man, play a bigger game.
That's
play
the problem.
A bigger game.
Is they're a primary example of this. You know what I mean? It's like you said, and then what? And then what happens is these people are spending all this money on a coaching program or a course that has no substance. It's all flash on the front end and no substance on inside or on the back end. Right. So now what you end up having is you just took somebody's money and provided them nothing. They're no better off, right? And I'm not here to attack any of these guys. You know, they're doing their thing. That's on them. And whoever buys that crap, it's on them too. But those guys, you know, need to take a hard look at themselves and see that alignment too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really, and it simply comes down to this happiness, right? Like, how do you bottle up happy and keep a lifetime supply of it in your cupboard, and then be able to take every morning like a freaking multivitamin, right?
Dude, I love your analogies, man. I love them.
Because ultimately, when you think about it, would you? A lot of people will pay $1 million for a coaching program, a course, or something like that. That will make them $2 million, but it's because they think that $2 million was making them happy. When really all that they had to do was pay $1 million for happiness, right? So like, what would you, and skip the bullshit middleman. And while you're becoming happy and figuring yourself out, right, this is when all the creative juices start flowing. You're really becoming, what you were supposed to become all along, because you've eliminated some of the programming and some of the radical crap that somebody put in your head at one point or another, right?
Exactly.
Now you're just working on yourself, and all this other stuff is starting to come to you. You take out the hustle and the grind, and you're happy. You're freaking happy. You're sitting on your back deck, you're at your swimming pool, whatever it is, you're just sitting there, and you can't help but look at the damn leaf on a tree and smile.
It's so true. It's that driver. We talk about that driver, right? And my battery's going to run out soon, which is mad. So we either end this or I move over there and everyone comes with me, which is cool. But I tell this to traders, and I've worked with some very high-end traders, right? And traders are about money. It's about accumulation. And they look for this ego-driven driver, which is fear of not having or going back to where they were, or external validation not being good enough. And the challenge with that, it ends up very messy and it affects their trades, right? But the other side of it is, and I say this all the time, what's your driver? Well, imagine if every time you got paid, that certain percentage went over to a kid, and you got to look in the eyes of that starving kid and shake their hands. How much goddamn hustle have you got? How much more motivation, right? Service, purpose, bigger picture. People play in this tiny little world, and it drives me nuts, man, because they're brilliant in this tiny little world. But the tiny little world is still earning $1 million a year, right? To do what? To go and buy what? A Maserati or a Lambo. Let's stick with that because that's the new flex, right? A Lambo. Guess what? If you're trying to buy that, that's great, but that should become a very secondary thing, and it should be a reward for you achieving a certain level of attainment. It shouldn't be, let's get money to go and buy that so people think this about me. So I feel good about myself for this much time until I'm on my own, and then all the demons come back, right?
That's solid right there. And you said it like that. And that's what it is. They're demons, and they haunt you. And you're out of the safety around that group of people you're trying to impress, even yourself. That's the thing. And here's the tragedy of it all. If you think humans lie to other humans, when you start taking a deep dive into yourself, you start realizing how much you lie to yourself.
Constantly lying to yourself. And that's the sad thing, man. It's like it's getting to the truth. What is the truth? You know what I mean? Here's my power cable. What is the truth? The truth is that none of this shit's real anyway. And where do we want to go to, right? Do we want to go down the quantum physical aspect of reality? Do we want to go into the subatomic particles? Do we want to go into all of that place? Because we can. And at the end of the day, the thing that makes people happy is understanding themselves and finding out what makes them happy. And people get to the point in their life that they have tried so hard to achieve something, and then they feel the emptiness. It's like, I'll tell you a story as I move, right? I'll tell you a quick story. I remember having this client, a brilliant real estate guy. And he had a friend, and this is all in LA, when I was working in LA and living in LA. And what the wild thing was that he said this girl was really, really nice. She was worth $100 million. And she had a mansion. He had a big house on the Hollywood Hills. But he was saying, I go into this woman's house and I'd feel embarrassed, right, about my home, right? Think about that for a start. But then this was it. She's the nicest woman, really beautiful, but used to sit in on her own on a Saturday night, lonely. And sad. Think about that. She was worth $100 million. What did it do? Made her sadder. It separated her, right? From her friends. Because guess what? Your friends change. Why did they change? Well, because you change. And you should change. But at the end of the day, it's you. Once you've achieved whatever it is, like I've lived in 8 or 9 countries now, not been to, lived in. And it's mad to see that everywhere I go these days, the same good people appear around me. Do you know what I mean? So what's that? Is that your brain's reticular activating system? Is that your brain's filter system? Is that frequency? Is that alignment? Well, we could go down the topic of frequency, right?
And it's all of it. It's all of it.
It's all of it.
Like that's the thing. It's all connected somehow. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. There is, when you start realizing that there really isn't separation, there's just misunderstanding and misalignment, things become a whole lot clearer.
So clear.
And then this whole concept of otherness, you versus me versus you, my team versus your team, my country versus yours, it starts to disappear. And then what that does is it takes away all this negative connotation that we might have on this, that, or the other. And again, you're free to be happy. People put too much into this.
Right.
Future pacing, which does nothing but cause anxiety, or sticking around in the past, which does nothing but cause depression. Right. And we totally forget to be in this moment, which ultimately that's all there ever will be and all that ever is. So we're constantly trying to do this number where we're just trying to fill that void. And again, it just keeps coming back to this, fill that void with something else when it's right freaking there and it's screaming at you. Like,
it's true.
Hey, freaking pay attention to me. Do some soul searching. Let's dig a little bit.
Yes.
And again, like I said, there's no reason that you can't do both, because the more familiar with yourself you get, it's going to affect your external business as well in a positive way, because you're essentially becoming an upgraded version of yourself, like you 2.0 or an ascended version, whatever you want to call it. We could go down any rabbit hole you'd like, but you're essentially becoming something else. You're shedding this old skin. So anything you were doing before anyway, if you don't shed it too, it's going to get better as well, because as you improve, your everything that you touch is going to improve. You become Midas, King Midas, essentially. Everything you touch turns to gold.
The gold. I love that. And that's why, like, I wrote a little blog post, or one of these posts on Facebook that we do and all over the place. And it was about the classic saying is, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? And I'm controversial with most things that I believe in this personal development BS world. And the truth is, it's not true. And let me explain. You might disagree with this, and that's okay, but let me explain. How you do one thing is not how you do everything. It should be the statement needs changing, like everything, right? Needs changing. And what that means is how you do the best thing should be how you do everything. Because you can be an amazing entrepreneur and a shitty father or husband or wife, right? You could be an amazing salesperson, but a terrible entrepreneur. You could be, you know what I mean? You could be teaching spirituality, but be so sad. It doesn't mean, right, how you do the best thing should be how you do everything. Because that's why you find professional athletes, right, who have hit the highest level, do they suddenly go into business? And they take the same belief systems, work ethic, expectations, laser focus, right? They know how to program their brain. They know how to program themselves. They know about discipline. They understand belief. So then they take that best version of them when they're on their A game, and then they move the same neural net or software or perspective, right? And take that and build it into them performing in a business, or them becoming happy, or them becoming whatever. And when people really truly understand that, then there is no competition externally, right? Who are we competing against? Competing against us, just ourselves. Can we be in flow 24/7? Can we constantly find boundaries and expand? Can we find something that's so we're so into, that's going to help millions of people, or thousands of people, or your family. I don't give a damn, right? But whatever it is, have you found it? And are you playing at that next level? Because otherwise, what's going to happen is you're buying the BS, you're buying the lies, you're buying the Instagram, you're buying the posts, you're buying all these things, and all of these people who are showing you a half a second glimpse of where they are in life, and you believe it and then chase it. And it's such horse crap. I mean, we can go on and on, Dean, but should we wrap this up for today, mate, and just keep these going, or should we keep chatting? I don't care.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Let's wrap it up after this. But I was so fascinated by something you said. You used a word, and I think it's important. I think it would be all right to end on this. No, you were talking about this idea of expansion, right? And,
let's do that. Yes.
What I've noticed, and I've gone on podcasts, interviews, and I say this, you know how fucking it's universal question, you know, how did you get successful, or how did you do this, or how did you do that? And it's first of all, success is so fucking subjective. It makes me sick to talk about it. However, the one thing I always say is I look at what everybody else is doing and I fucking do the exact opposite, right? Because 95% of people are just fucking this shit up anyway. You just go with the herd, they're going to lead you to the freaking slaughter, right? So when you look at expansion, this notion of expansion, what happens is when most people hit that resistance, that wall, within that box that they've created for themselves, not only did they build their own cell, but they put themselves in it and they're the guard, right? But they hit that freaking wall in that box and they get smaller, they shrink. When you feel that resistance, it's time to expand. And you need to fucking grow, because when you grow, that little box can't hold you anymore. And you bust out that bitch like the Hulk. Splinters go flying everywhere. You rip your shirt off. The skies rain down upon you, and all these good things happen, right? Now you're a freaking myth, a legend, you know? But it's this notion of expansion to a point just expand. When you feel the resistance, that's your higher self telling you that this shit that we're doing ain't working anymore, bro.
It's true,
that doesn't mean back up. It means expand.
Well, think about nature, mate. Think about nature. A tree doesn't struggle to grow. A tree does not struggle to grow. And let's say it's put in a concrete wall. What happens to that tree? It just busts down with its roots. It just smashes the concrete around us. It doesn't struggle to grow.
No.
Why do we think we're so different? Why do we think we're so different to nature when we are nature?
We are it. And again, it's this concept of doing versus being.
Yes.
Too many people are doing shit and not enough people are being shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. The tree just is. It doesn't do. It just exists and it does its thing.
And that's why I hate that concept, fake it till you'll make it, right? You shouldn't be faking shit for a start. You should be being that version of you now. And what doesn't mean stepping into, if you're faking it into a cage, you're going to get found out, right? If you fake it in business, you're going to get found out. You fake it in happiness, you're going to get found out. What you spoke about that word being, well, when we develop peak states, we're actually developing neural nets and ways that we are neuro-conditioning ourselves to be able to be that version of us that we've designed in the future, but being them now. Because if you do that, the world around you changes because your filter changes, your chemicals change, your nervous system adjusts, all of these things. So suddenly you're seeing the world differently, yes, but your beliefs about what's possible have expanded. Your attitude to getting the task done that will get you to where you want to go expanded, right? The way you talk to yourself expands. The way you communicate with your network, and your network expands, right? So it's not about faking it till you make it, because that's absolute dog crap. What it is, it's about being that ultimate version of you. But to be that ultimate version of you, well, we have to do a bit of unlocking, right? We have to discover that what is. We have to do some retraining, reprogramming. We have to unlock your chest brain, if you understand what that actually means. You know what I mean? And when we do that, then the world literally changes around us. and opportunities arise that we didn't even see. Ideas appear that we didn't know exist, right? And that's how my personal coaching, what I do is take people from 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9 plus figures without teaching them any business strategy, right? What we're talking about is me and Dean is we've got a massive issue and problem to solve here because we're seeing so many sad people who are successful, brilliant. They've worked their asses off. So whether it's mid six figures, whether you've been an NFL player and you've earned $100-200 million and then you retire. Now what? Sean Johnston put the medal around the neck and she went, now what? Right? Everybody is going to get to that point of level of success, and then it's going to be, now what? So if you can understand what that means, then what would happen if we worked out why that procrastination that you're feeling or that emptiness every day that you're feeling? Well, what would happen if it's just, we just tweak it, right? And we find out what that alignment is, and every day becomes a passionate mission, right? Just like I said about that trader, right? The trader, if you saw that kid and you looked in their eyes, you're trading harder than you ever have in your life, right? You're not buying a Lambo because you've probably already got one. And if you've got one, you might sell it because you realize who cares.
So true.
We can go on as we can, but I love it. I think it's good to leave it on expansion, but what we've spoken about before, mate, is, we set up a little group. It's going to be moving over to an app for sure, but we just want to collect all the awesome people and put them into one place so we can have a good chat, right? That's it, right? So first place is we're doing it on Facebook. So in the comments below this, we're going to put the link to the group. But basically, if you're around a mid six-figure earner and I mean any of this has resonated with you, well, we just created this group before we decided to do this live. And we're going to drop the link in, but we understand this is a real issue in the world. When I spoke about those 4 people at the start, they're 4 of billions of others, right? There's 7.5 going to 8 billion people in the world. And there's more millionaires and rich people than there's ever been, right? But once you've hit that level, then what? So we understand this is a real problem, and we're here for you to do something about it. So click the link, jump in, and let's just have a chat, right? And who knows where this is going, but we know where it's going because there's a bigger mission, right? We just don't know where you're going yet. So come and find out, and we're going to work it out together.
You're going to have fun, man.
Oh, dude.
You're going to have fun. There's no point in doing this if it isn't fun. Like, why so serious?
No, because that's the marketing world again. They're trying to be gangsters. Right?
Oh, yeah. Gangsters, scarcity and urgency. I'm Batman. Well, they're crazy. Come on, man. Let's have fun with
Live life, brother.
If you want to have a really good time, you want to learn some amazing freaking stuff, click that link to the group. Get in there. We're going to have a good time. We just saw a need, and, we're going to fill it.
We are, mate. So give me some knuckles, dude, because I think this went well. And everyone out there, give me those knuckles too. And you'll see us again. But share this everywhere. If this resonates with you, if it fits in where you're at in life, then let's just have a chat. We've done this for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So, yeah, let's do it for you too.
Let's get it.
Take care, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.
So, crew, there we go. The end of episode 310. Love Dean? Gotta love Dean, right? Gotta love Dean. Yes, I can take over the conversation, but believe me, he's got a lot to say too. But hopefully you loved that and it resonated with you. And if it did resonate with you, then make sure that you're heading over to the show notes for all the cool links and make sure that you're connecting with us. Remember, you can get access to everything straight through Andy Murphy Mindset. Type that in Facebook and my group will pop up. In there, you've got lots of links, or you can type in now what and see if the group comes up. Remember, this was brand new. Literally created the group yesterday, literally did the live yesterday. But the concept is very real, and we've been dealing with this for, as I say, I've been dealing with it personally for 19 years with thousands and thousands of people.
And I've seen it at the highest level, from royalty to everybody else. They all go through the same thing. And if you're resonating with this, and this is where you're at, and those thoughts are looping around your head going, now what? Now what? Is this it? Now what? Then you need to come and have a chat with us, and we'll get you connected and aligned like you didn't even know was possible. And yeah, in future, there's also investments, but that's a different conversation. So make sure you're heading over there. Make sure you're also checking the show notes out and writing a nice review for me. I appreciate it. iTunes and everywhere else appreciates it. And the link is in the show notes. So if you're a regular listener, come on, it takes 2 minutes. Get a review in. What else? Well, you have an amazing week. Much love. Go and kick ass. And I know I'll speak to you soon. And until then, why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.